Welcome back to FrankBroadcasts, where there can only be one! Today, my friend and DCPU co-host Thomas joins me for a special one-off episode on the cult classic 1980s film, Highlander.
I'm gonna read my stuff like him in the movie. The original script. While attending UCLA's School of Theater.
We'll talk about him in a second. Before we get into the history of the project, why are we doing this episode, Thomas?
Because I messaged you and I said, what if instead of recording the next Resident Evil movie, instead we watched Highlander? Because you keep trying to get me to watch Highlander.
Well, okay, so yes, for context, we are in the middle of recording our Resident Evil series, the history of Resident Evil in film and television, and one of the movies in that is directed by Russell Mulcahy, so I was trying to get you to watch that before we got to his movie, to give you some context about the director and his style. And you didn't. You messaged me at 7 p.m. and said, hey, instead of recording the next Resident Evil CG movie tomorrow, can we take a break and do Highlander instead? And then I quickly whipped up an 8-page document in 4 hours, and here we are.
Oh, it's actually worse. It was a Wednesday at 9:02.
And I had that document finished by like 1 in the morning.
Let's move on to the history of the project and the details of release. While attending UCLA's School of Theater, Film, and Television in the early 80s, 20-year-old undergraduate student Gregory Wyden wrote a screenplay inspired by Ridley Scott's 1977 film The Duelists, which he would title Shadow Clan. Kinda edgy. At the suggestion of his instructor, Wyden would send the script to a Hollywood agent where it was soon sold for $200,000 shortly before he graduated. Wyden would speak about this experience in an interview with The Telegraph, that we'll be quoting a lot for this episode, saying, quote, "It was a UCLA film project. I got an A- and a house. The idea of the story was basically a combination of a riff on The Duelists, guy wants to finish duel over years, and a visit I made both to Scotland and the Tower of London armor display, where I thought, what if you owned all this? What if you'd worn it all through history and were giving someone a tour of your life through it? That scene is basically in the movie." He only got an A-, but he sold it for $200,000.
Yeah. God, can you imagine selling a script while you're still in college?
In the 80s, that would pay off more than your college.
Yeah, it would. Let's do the quick conversion here. Let's just say 1984. I tried to find the specific year that he was attending UCLA in which all this happened. I couldn't, for some reason. There's no, like, actual year or semester. But it was like the year or two before the movie came out. So I'm going to assume $1984 today.
Literally 1984.
Yeah. So let's see. In 1984, $200,000, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. I don't know why that was the first result. In 2025 dollars, $619,818.45. So this got, today it would be, he'd be getting paid nearly $620,000 for this script.
More than $500,000. And he could maybe buy a house.
Today, yeah. He might be able to get a studio or something, but
well, he went to UCLA, so that would probably be pretty expensive these days.
Also true. So the original draft had some major differences from what would be in the final film, including the following. Connor's wife from the first act, Heather, does not exist. Instead, he was to be married to a woman named Mara, who would reject him after learning of his immortality. And similarly, Connor would willingly leave his clan instead of being banished after they discover his immortal nature. Ramirez is from 12th century Spain instead of ancient Egypt. A change that makes, sense. I mean, it doesn't still make complete sense considering who's playing him, but we'll get there when we talk about the casting or the plot. The Kurgan, which we're just going to refer to as Kurgan for the sake of simplicity, was known as the Knight, and is not portrayed as a barbarian, but more of a cold, calculated killer like the Terminator or something. Wyden would later elaborate on his version of Kurgan, saying, quote, "Kurgan was the thing that was most different about my screenplay. He was much more tortured. The Kurgan in Highlander, as it is pretty much like Freddy Krueger. He's just a cackling psychopath. I envisaged him as a guy who loses everything over time. The only thing he could hold on to give him a reason to get up in the morning, was to finish this thing. finish it with our guy McLeod. It was more about that. It was just a reason to get up in the morning. Otherwise, what's the point? Everything is impermanent, everything is lost. That made him much more serious. In a weird way, a sympathetic bad guy. I like the Kurgan we got, but that's pretty interesting.
I loved Kurgan.
You love Kurgan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I think Clancy Brown steals the show in this movie. Immortals could have children. In the original screenplay, Connor is said to have 37 kids, which honestly seems kind of low, considering the fact he's been alive for 500 plus years. Well, I guess maybe not when the movie was out. It was like 450 and change. And in the story, he attends the funeral of one of his sons. The prize is never mentioned, and there's also no energy blast when one of the immortals kills another, but they still can sense each other through like a burning spider sense-like feeling that is described in the script. I guess they do in the final movie still have like some kind of gravitational pull towards each other. You know, they don't show what that really feels like, but everybody keeps winding up in New York City over the course of the movie, so. While not a specific change, the entire tone of the film was also different from how Wyden had originally intended it to be. According to him, it was supposed to be much darker and moodier, with him saying, quote, "There were logic issues that crept in after me, that make me cringe, like Connor being all jokey as he's run through by a sword during a duel. The whole idea was that they don't die, but they feel agonizing pain. There's moments where the production kind of winged it, and silly stuff like that crept in."
I kind of liked the silly stuff, though.
I agree. I think if it was taking itself more seriously, it might have been less enjoyable, especially at this budget, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really know if they could get away with playing it all straight.
I don't know if it was, I was reading some trivia, and I guess there was some stuff cut from the theatrical release. Does it go into that at all?
I did do some reading into the deleted scenes, but I didn't put them in the doc because I couldn't find
a source.
Some credible sources, but there were a few deleted scenes.
One of them was at the beginning when the guy was flipping.
Oh.
And that made me laugh because I was like, why would... I mean, I don't know why I was there in the first place, but why would they cut it?
Oh, you mean when people saw this in theaters, there was no flipping guy in the parking garage?
Yeah, and I think it was in the American release, they cut out some scenes.
Oh, that sucks.
I can pull up the list, it was just on IMDb Trivia, but...
Well, always reliable, as we know.
Yeah.
The flipping guy is awesome. Why would you ever cut that?
As for the director, Australian director Russell Mulcahy was hired to direct the film. Mulcahy earned his reputation through the world of music videos. Oh, interesting. So it looks like he did music videos for Elton John, Duran Duran, AC/DC, Culture Club, The Human League, The Sex Pistols, Paul McCartney, The Buggles, Ultravox, Bonnie Tyler, Rod Stewart, The Rolling Stones, and even more. The list just keeps going on and on. But that right there is pretty stellar lineup.
Yeah, when you actually look at what music videos he's directed for all those musicians too, it's a lot of the ones that you would think of. Like, probably the most prolific, or one of the most prolific, certainly one of the guys working the most in the music video space during this time.
And when you think of MTV, chances are you're imagining the music videos of Mulcahy, because his video for Video Killed the Radio Star was literally the first music video the channel ever played.
I also forgot to put this in the doc, but Mulcahy did direct a feature film a couple years before Highlander in Australia called Razorback. He didn't just do music videos, but it was mostly music videos. He did just do a movie before Highlander, but I believe Razorback was his first film, and it was a totally Australian thing.
For casting, Kurt Russell beat out several actors for the role of Connor, including Kevin Costner, Michael Douglas, Ed Harris, Scott Glenn, Peter Weller, Mickey Rourke, William Hurt, Mel Gibson, and Sting, among many others. It's kind of crazy seeing like some of these people, and I can't picture them being in like this movie, or just think of other movies they've been in, like Peter Weller.
Yeah, RoboCop is the Highlander. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy.
And Kurt Russell would eventually drop out of the project after being cast. And the popular belief for this decision is that he was talked out of it by his wife, Goldie Hawn, but we couldn't really find a credible source for this, so I guess take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I couldn't find a real good source on why exactly he dropped out. It could have been like scheduling or something else he just wanted to do instead. It is funny that the image of his wife reading the screenplay and going, "You can't be in this movie."
Mulcahy was struck by the performance of French actor Christopher Lambert in the film Greystroke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. What a weird name.
Yeah.
And got him aboard for Highlander soon after seeing it. To quote Mulcahy on the choice, quote, "Flicking through the magazine, I saw a photo of Christopher Lambert from Greystroke. I said, 'Who's this?' And they had no idea. He couldn't speak English, but he had the perfect look, and he learned English very fast. And it was true. The 28-year-old Lambert was not fluent in English and was virtually unknown to American audiences at the time. Lambert spent months working for 4 hours each day with a dialect coach, and another 4 hours daily on sword training. It would explain why sometimes it felt like he was reading words phonetically from the script and saying them."
Yeah, for sure. What a weird choice. This guy doesn't speak English, and he's not like a name. Like, look at all the other people that auditioned for the role of Connor, and you're going with a guy from France who didn't even audition just because you saw him in a Tarzan movie.
Yeah. I guess also it says he saw his picture in a magazine. So did he see the picture first and was like, this guy should be Highlander? And then he watched the movie and he's like, you know what, I can see it now.
That's true, yeah.
And Lambert's sword trainer for the film was renowned Olympic fencer and film fight choreographer Bob Anderson, whose resume included work on Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Three Musketeers, The Princess Bride, James Bond, and Star Wars, where he was Darth Vader's stunt double for the lightsaber battles in both The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I'm assuming he didn't do the fight choreography for this film.
I don't know.
Because I feel like those movies had much better fight choreography. And the year before Highlander's release, Lambert would win France's Caesar Award for Best Actor as his role in the film Subway. Do you think it's based off of Jared from Subway?
The Caesar Award is like the national film award for France. It's like their version of the Academy Awards, basically. So this was a big award for him. But again, doesn't mean much outside of France.
Yeah. And after Highlander, Lambert would notably play Raiden in a friend of the show, Paul W.S. Anderson's 1995 adaptation of Mortal Kombat.
Future friend of the show.
Future friend of the show, yes.
But yeah, that's another connection there. We're going to be discussing a lot of Paul W.S. Anderson films very soon. And not Mortal Kombat, but it is interesting to see a little more connective tissue between Mulcahy, Lambert, and Anderson.
I don't have too much background on Mortal Kombat. Isn't Raiden supposed to be like Asian?
Yeah. Yeah. And what kind of Asian? I don't know. I don't think that Ed Boon thought that through. Mortal Kombat is... I don't know. But, yeah, he's definitely not French. That's... Yeah. I mean, he's also not a human, too. He's like a god.
That's true.
So, I don't know. And also, he was probably played by a white guy when they were doing the original motion capture.
Probably.
For the arcade game. So, I don't know. The part of Brenda went to Catherine Mary Stewart. Other actresses who auditioned for the role include Diane Lane, Demi Moore, Brooke Adams, Annette O'Toole, and Linda Hamilton. But like Kurt Russell, Stewart dropped out of the film after casting had finished. And so in her place was actress Roxanne Hart. And Hart is best known for this film, as well as her role on the CBS medical drama Chicago Hope, which ran for quite a few years, I think.
Again, pretty big names there.
And for the role of Ramirez, the film would cast Sean Connery. But Peter O'Toole, Gene Hackman, and Michael Caine were all considered for the part. And despite his brief time in the film, Connery was paid a cool $1 million for the part. Which, if I pull up that inflation calculator again, let's just... let's see.
It's going to be like...
It's probably about 3 times as much, because Wyden was paid $200,000 and he got $620 in today's money. So let's say Connery got paid like $3.3 million. Oh shit! Whoops. let's say yeah, I'm trying to save time, like this movie did in its production. Sean Connery, let's just say he got paid like a cool $3.3 million.
Especially because I read he did his work in like a week.
Oh, we'll talk about his work here in a second. Since Connery was... Fuck! Since Connery was strapped for time thanks to his upcoming role in Brian De Palma's The Untouchables, which would be filming soon after Highlander, the production would have to get a lot of his reaction shots done early while shooting, and basically film all of the Connery stuff first. In what might be the film's cheapest move, Connery would record the now famous voiceover from the film's opening in the bathroom of his vacation home in Spain. And if you listen closely, you can actually hear an echo from his bathroom walls from when he was recording this that made it into the final film.
That's great.
I was listening for it this time because I didn't know this before doing research a couple days ago. It's not that easy to pick out. Like, they do make the echo or the reverb seem very intentional.
I wonder if they added more in post.
That's what I think they did, yeah. I think they tried to add more echo or reverb to it to make it blend better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does the job. And for the role of Kurgan, Roy Scheider and Scott Glenn were discussed early on in production. Interesting, because Scott Glenn was also trying to audition for the role of Connor McLeod. Roy Scheider, of course, is from Jaws, which Thomas hasn't seen.
I just see Rob Schneider.
No. I don't think so.
He'd be great in the part.
And there were other few big names that turned down the part, including Rutger Hauer, Nick Nolte, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold said that he felt it was too similar to his role as Conan the Barbarian, which, yeah, fair enough.
I don't know if he'd be able to, or if he would like put in as much as Clancy Brown did.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't think any of these people would have done a better job. Rutger Hauer, maybe. Nick Nolte, I can't see that at all. That's crazy to me. And yes, eventually the actor Clancy Brown would get the role. And Clancy Brown is best known for his portrayal of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob SquarePants, but he has an enormous voiceover and live-action career in television and film. If we were to list it all here, it would take way too long, but he's in like The Shawshank Redemption, Starship Troopers. He's one of the major characters in Detroit Become Human, which was a big hit. Lex Luthor in the DC animated stuff for like, God, I don't know how many years. Great actor. He's like everything.
He's not dead, is he?
No.
I keep getting him mixed up with someone else who died, and I don't know who it is, but every time I hear like Clancy Brown, I'm like, oh man, rip.
I don't know.
Maybe the Mandela effect. I was in another universe, and I came over when Clancy Brown died. Came over to the universe where he's alive.
Clancy Brown seemed to share a lot of the same sentiments as Gregory Wyden about the character of Kurgan and the overall tone of the film. Wyden would say of Brown, quote, "I was on the set. That was complicated because Clancy Brown preferred my take on his character, and some dust-ups happened over it with the producers. He hated what he was being asked to do. He used to come to me complaining about it. He used to come to me and I didn't know what to tell him. I did think it was a little jokey. What is essentially a very serious person with a serious issue was tarted up a little bit." Now, I want to quickly say that word is Tarted, and that is a quote from Wyden, okay? I don't really know what he means. Maybe he means like soured or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Never heard that phrase used before, but it's not what you're thinking you heard.
Okay.
Clancy Brown would later discuss his time on the film in a 2014 Reddit AMA, saying, quote, "There was not a whole lot of fun to be had. It was a strange set. You know, we were all trying to make a good movie, and the producers were trying to, make money any way they could. So there were a lot of things we had to work around, do on the cheap, because of those producers. I wasn't getting paid anything. Sean was getting paid a lot. So you have to decide if you're going to have fun or not. So the only thing I could have on that set was fun, so that's what I had. It's not one of my favorite experiences making that movie, although I did have fun on it. The circumstances of making it were very hard, and not pleasant for a lot of people. I think Sean was fine. Sean worked for a couple weeks and then took his money and did Untouchables. Christoph was having fun because he just won the César in France, so he was living the high life. Roxanne and I were just trying to get by, do what we could. It wasn't much on the page to the Kurgan. It was not written well. It was just some kind of a big thuggish bad guy, so I had to do something to make it interesting for myself. And Russell was having fun, so he let me get away with whatever I wanted to do." I don't know why he calls him Christoph in this quote.
I was like, Dan, did we name him wrong?
No. Yeah, that's interesting. That Clancy Brown was like taking issue with the character and wanted to take it more seriously and stuff. But I love what he did with it.
Yeah, I did too. I do kind of wonder what his definition of I wasn't getting paid anything is.
Yeah, I mean, Connery's getting paid $1 million to do, I guess, a couple weeks of shooting. So I don't know. There's no way that's public information. But let me just.
He's also like the token. Like, we got a big guy for this movie, so I can kind of understand why they'd pay him more.
Oh yeah,
he's like the big name on the poster.
I thought you meant Clancy Brown.
No.
Because Clancy Brown literally is a big guy. I looked it up last night because while watching the church scene, I was kind of blown away by how tall he was. He's 6'3", which isn't as tall as they make him look in the movie, but that's still pretty fucking tall.
He might have had like boots on.
Oh, platforms. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, it says that Clancy Brown on the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum revealed that he had no initial quote for his salary, so he got the minimum union payout. That is crazy.
It's good that they let him kind of just do whatever he wanted and have fun with it.
Yeah, if nothing else, Clancy Brown will be immortal in a way because of this film. Like, amongst all his other work, this is a really standout performance. Such a memorable character. For as simple as he is on the page.
Yeah, I don't think that he'd be as memorable if he wasn't like the kind of crazy wacko he is in this. If he was more like the stoic, reserved guy that they were saying before, he wouldn't be like as memorable, and I don't think it would come across as good.
I agree. I mean, I still think Clancy Brown's got one of those faces, and especially one of those voices, you know. Especially today, you don't see people like that. You don't see a heavy in a Hollywood film looking like Clancy Brown. They have to be all sexy and stuff.
Are you calling him ugly?
No, I'm not. No. I'm just saying he's got like a character actor face. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Don't fucking do this to me.
He's ugly. He's got that character actor face. Frank's judging people on their looks today.
All right, let's move on.
The film's original score was composed by Michael Kamen, who is best known for his work on Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Brazil, The Iron Giant, X-Men, and Band of Brothers, among countless other works.
Yeah, and while doing research, I found out he died relatively young, in like his early 50s in 2003.
And Sting, who we mentioned earlier as someone who was in the running for the role of Connor, was also considered to compose the film's soundtrack. However, the film's soundtrack would instead be done by the British rock band Queen, with a total of 7 Queen songs being featured in the film. But they weren't written for this, right? They were just like...
yeah, some of them were.
Oh. When promoting the film's tie-in album, Queen guitarist Brian May would reveal that he wrote the song Who Wants to Live Forever after watching Heather's death scene at the beginning of the film, saying, quote, "It's this violent tale of immortals fighting to the death, but there's this subplot, a tragic love story. The hero cannot die, but he falls in love with people who can. He falls in love with this girl in the Highlands, she grows old, and he has to say goodbye to her. It's a strange kind of tragedy. I've related to that in my own life, to everyone's life. Love always comes to an end."
So, yeah.
I feel like he's like, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I also feel like he's kind of overthinking it.
Well, I had read also that, according to some other members of the band, he was going through some stuff with, like, sick family members or something.
Oh, okay. Although, to this day, there is no complete soundtrack album for the film. Again, the tie-in album, A Kind of Magic, contained most of the songs in the film, but had different arrangements for some of them compared to the versions actually in the film, and did not feature their cover of the song New York, New York, that was briefly used, or Hammer to Fall, which was from one of their previous albums.
Yeah, Hammer to Fall is the song that plays when Kurgan breaks into Brenda's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, their theme of New York, New York has never been released anywhere. Like, at all. Which is crazy to me. There's no full version of it. There's no snippet of it outside of this movie. And doing research, I also discovered that song was made for the movie New York, New York. And then Sinatra covered it after, which kind of blew my mind. I did not know that.
I thought it was before movies were like a...
No, it was made for the Scorsese movie New York, New York, which is, I don't know, it kind of blew my mind. But yeah, if you listen to A Kind of Magic, all the songs minus that cover are in there, but some of the arrangements are different. Like there's one of the songs, because I listened to them all at work yesterday, kind of on repeat for a little bit. One of them actually features samples of Clancy Brown's voice in the track that you can stream on Spotify.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And this was all in 1985. which was the year of Live Aid. Like, Queen had never been bigger. I think it's kind of amazing that they stepped away from all of that, especially with, like, you know, the stuff with Freddie Mercury going on behind the scenes and whatever else, to make music for this schlocky, relatively low budget film. Like, this is the mid 80s. Queen is at the top of the world right now.
Yeah, I wonder how they like got them because they're at their like peak almost.
Yeah, I think they'd like read the screenplay or something. I remember one of the band members doing an interview where they said that it was the best script that Freddie Mercury had ever read, which makes me respond with, well, how many screenplays is Freddie Mercury reading?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I mean, not no offense to Highlander, but I'm just saying, like, that's not really the kind of thing I'd imagine him doing pretty often. But yeah, really, really crazy.
It's funny because before, when you were talking about it, you were saying, they have someone really big for the music, and I think I guessed like 3 names, and Queen was actually one of the ones I guessed, I think.
Yeah, it was. Principal photography took place across Scotland, England, Wales, and Manhattan. In an interview with Straits Times, I believe a Singapore magazine, in 1991, cinematographer Arthur Smith would reveal, for the scene in which the fish fall out of Connor's kilt, there was a drain pipe shoved into it from above, outside of the camera's view, and live trout were fed down the pipe towards Lambert's crotch. He also recalled the difficulty of the first scene between Connor and Kurgan, since it was raining outside and the crew needed to use hair dryers and umbrellas to keep the lens dry, just constantly. I don't know if any of that is visible in the final film. I didn't notice anything like that, because it's a pretty dark scene, like literally.
Is that when they're...
I think it's the scene with all the steam pipes. Their
Well,
first fight.
I wonder if it's the first one they shot or if it's their first scene, because their first scene is technically on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's true too. It could be. Either way, I didn't notice any hair dryers. Christopher Lambert would also forget to take off his glasses before riding his horse over the hill in that sequence. Okay, so it must have been the Scottish battle scene, which led to many retakes. I do think it's funny to imagine this Highlander with glasses on riding over the hill.
Fucking nerd.
Also, I forgot to put it in the doc, but Lambert had a funny quote that I saw where he was like, yeah, that like underwater scene was icy cold.
Ooh.
And it was like torture for me every time I had to go under. And eventually he went through like all the stages of grief to accept that, like, all right, here we go again. In the DVD commentary, Mulcahy and the film's producers, William N. Panzer and Peter S. Davis, would reveal that the film's finale was actually set on top of the Statue of Liberty originally, before being moved to the roof of the Silver Cup Studios building.
Gee, I wonder why they changed it.
That would be awesome. I mean, I don't think they used the real Silver Cup Studios building, because they fucking destroyed they destroyed the neon sign. Like, and like I did notice, like, I was trying to pay attention because I'm thinking, like, this can't be the real building. And you can kind of see the seams of where it's a soundstage in like the top of the frame where it's just dark, but you can see just a slightly different shade where it's like a corner of a room. But it's a big set.
It looked pretty good too.
Yeah, I thought it was very convincing. I never questioned it the first time I watched the movie. Also in the commentary, it was revealed that the opening sequence was supposed to feature an NHL hockey game in Madison Square Garden instead of a wrestling match. But once the NHL learned that the crew wanted to cut between it to emphasize the violence of the sport, they wanted no part of it.
Which is funny because I feel like fights are one of the biggest parts of hockey and people love them.
Oh, absolutely.
If they didn't want to emphasize the violence of the sport, then they wouldn't have fights at all.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. As Clancy Brown lamented after the film's release, the producers were extremely cheap and had cut corners wherever possible. Jonathan Melville, author of the making of novel Highlander, A Kind of Magic. This book is really good. It's like over 300 pages. He did a lot of research. He interviewed like over 60 different cast and crew members, including Lambert and Brown. Really interesting stuff. I think I'm actually going to go buy the full book now after doing the research for this episode. So everybody go check out that book.
And then you have to make an update and like, oh, we were wrong about several parts. We'd like to recant this statement.
And Melville would say, quote, Like any film, producers watch the pennies, but sometimes that can get to extreme levels. When it came to feeding the hundreds of extras, on the first day, the decision was made they weren't to be given breakfast.
Jesus Christ.
This caused quite an outcry. The crew was saying if you don't feed them, they will leave, as well as saying it's just not right to not feed them. It was mentioned by one of the assistant directors that if it wasn't sorted out, he was going to get Sean Connery involved. That jolted the producers into saying, okay, we'll feed them. But it did result in a little bit of antagonism between the extras and the producers. Melville is also Scottish. I don't know why maybe he's a stand-up guy to work with. I don't know why he would care so much. He's getting paid $1 million.
If it's for the extras, maybe because they're like actors, so he'd be like, oh, that's like my people. Like, you gotta feed my bros.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm trying to think what scene, because I think this might be for like the battle scenes.
Oh yeah.
He's not in any of those. He's not like sharing the screen with them. The only time we see him with other people besides Connor is like when he's in that like marketplace. Well, anyway, I think it's awfully nice that the assistant director thought so highly of Connery that, and I guess it did work, that he scared the producers into feeding the crew. What an insane thing to do, by the way. And it's day one.
Yeah.
Imagine showing up to a shoot and day one they said, oh yeah, we're not feeding you guys. No breakfast.
All they have to do is do eggs.
I would kill someone. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck? In all seriousness, I would just quit. But that is insane. I could never imagine that happening today.
Yeah, this must be before those rules were established, because in school they were always like, you have to feed your crew, like you're a piece of shit, like if you don't feed your crew.
Not even that, but it's illegal if it's a union shoot. Melville would also describe how tensions got so high that an effigy of Margaret Thatcher was built on set and was burned, which I think is very funny. I tried to find pictures of it. I couldn't find a picture of it, but I think that's beautiful. And again, this is like a mostly Scottish crew of like extras, and again, Melville is also Scottish. They're filming in the Scottish Highlands. He would also describe fighting behind the scenes between the extras, recounting, quote, there was a little bit of tit for tat when one extra would maybe rap the person he was fighting across the knuckles with the wooden sword. In the next take, the person would do the same back, and it maybe got a little bit out of hand at times. I think there were a few punches thrown. One extra said it might have had to do with the amount of alcohol consumed at lunchtime, but another said it was more to do with adrenaline. Maybe it was a bit of both, because a lot of the extras were professionals. I love that. Professional extras getting drunk at lunch. Again, not sure how much of this has to do with the fact that they're shooting in Scotland with a Scottish crew, but I don't want to feed into any stereotypes, but it's coming from the horse's mouth here.
I like to imagine they were like, so we can't feed you breakfast. We do have a bunch of alcohol for lunch, though.
Yeah, we have so much scotch. For the sparking swords that we would see later in the film, I'm not sure which fights in particular. There were wires that were run through the sleeves of the costumes, connected to car batteries outside of the frame. So when the swords would come into contact with each other, that's why sparks would fly. Which I thought looked pretty cool in the movie, although I did notice the sparking is inconsistent, so I'm trying to figure out which fights this would actually be for, and I think it might be mainly the fight with Kurgan and McLeod at the end of the film, when they're in like the loft with the big windows.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'd probably be easier there too, and they're mostly like stationary, and it would probably be easier, because of how dark it is in there.
I wonder if that's a safety hazard. Like, it sounds cool.
Oh,
it also sounds like it could probably be a safety hazard.
It sounds incredibly unsafe. Imagine if that sword just connected with one of the guy's faces. Like, it's a car battery running through a piece of metal. Yeah, like...
but their face isn't metal.
That's... Yeah. So... And then finally we have another cheap note here. The collapsing tower from the fight between Ramirez and Kurgan was being held up by crew members whose hands are actually visible for a split second of the film as they're like pushing bricks through as they're falling.
I actually liked that part.
Oh, I did too, and like I thought it was convincing enough.
Yeah,
as far as
I mean, I
sets
didn't
go.
see hands, but
No, I wouldn't have seen hands if I didn't know to look for it, and I don't think anybody else would either. It's literally a split second. You just see like a guy's like denim sleeve pushing a brick or something. So if you look in the upper left past
is it next
Ramirez,
to
you
the
can
sword?
yes, to the right of the sword, you see a guy's hand at his sleeve
I
right there.
guess, yeah.
And I think
Even
if you
then,
look to the left, you can see like his jeans, like he's
oh
laying
yeah,
backwards. But like that is like a fraction of a second.
it blends in pretty well too.
Yeah, yeah. He's camouflaged. That denim kind of matches the like blue night light coming through.
As for the state of movies at release, Highlander would premiere in the United States on March 7th, 1986, where the biggest films at the US box office this month included Pretty in Pink, The Color Purple, Gung Ho, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, and Police Academy 3 Back in Training.
Yeah. Not a ton of big movies around this time. And like the ones that we just listed here, like The Color Purple, that were making a shitload of money, actually had come out earlier. And, you know, we're just kind of continuing to, you know, have legs at the box office.
I feel like March isn't a very, even back, like now more so maybe, but back then, like, movies weren't releasing in March, I don't think.
No,
At least not big like blockbusters.
Think you might be right about that. So let's get into the plot synopsis and discussion. In 1985 New York, Connor McLeod encounters an old enemy, Iman Facile, in the parking garage of Madison Square Garden. After a sword duel, Connor beheads Facile and absorbs a powerful release of energy from his body, then hides his sword in the garage's ceiling. NYPD officers detain him on suspicion of murder, but lack evidence to hold him. So what did you think of this opening? Because I've seen Highlander before. You haven't. What did you think of all this?
Well, first of all, when the voiceover started at the beginning, I was like, this isn't Sean Connery, is it? And then it was like, and Sean Connery. I was like, oh my god, it's Sean Connery. Because I didn't know he was in this.
Yeah. I love that big wall of text. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing.
The intro, though, first of all, that shot was pretty crazy. Because it goes in, and it's kind of like, it almost looks like it's shot from a helicopter, but it's not.
Yes, the one inside Madison Square Garden. It's like flying around 360, going up the different levels, right up to Lambert's face. Yeah, I was blown away. I took note of that too. Like, how did they do that? Like, I mean, obviously the answer is like some kind of dolly or crane, but the way it moves is so free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he'd have to be strapped to the ceiling, the camera operator, or something. Like, I don't know how they did it. And that, I think, is one of the trademarks of Mulcahy's style that you see in this film, is like, he loves these big floating shots that just travel around the environment of the actors. Because we see it constantly throughout the movie, and we even see it in Resident Evil Extinction.
But it's not overdone either.
No, not at all. And I think it's very cool. I love the way he moves the camera in this, and it feels like it might be a very music video-y thing.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but...
No, that does feel like it would fit the vibe of that pretty well. So it goes there, and then he's like... the camera zooms in on him, and then he starts having his little flashbacks, and then he leaves. And then this guy just shows up, and they pull their swords out. And I'm like, what? Why the fuck? They just have swords on them? Or I don't know how he got the sword through his jacket with security at Madison Square Garden. But,
it's 1985.
I just thought it was really funny that they pull out swords from their jackets. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The random flipping that he does really made me laugh.
It was awesome.
Because he's just like flipping for no reason. And I'm like, why is he doing this?
It's his like main mode of transportation. Like, Facile just gets from A to B by flipping. It's great. I think the parking garage sequence fucking rules. I think it is such a good like tone setter for the movie. I mean, like, even before this, that big sweeping shot of MSG, and also the Queen needle drop just sets the tone immediately for how much this is going to rock. And then that parking garage sequence, like the way that the camera is hovering and floating over the cars, and then it switches to like this handheld over the shoulder kind of perspective, like very shaky but like very intimate, as Connor's fighting. that also feels very music video-y. Like, there's a lot of scenes later in the film too where the camera is like flying through hallways with a wide angle lens and following people, like when Kurgan breaks into Brenda's apartment. That felt very like, this is a music video type thing. I love it. I love the way Mulcahy moves the camera. I love all the rain from the, well, not literal rain, but from the sprinklers, all the sparks, the breaking glass from the cars. It just really adds to the fight because it feels so tangible, so tactile, you know?
I wouldn't say that the fighting itself was all that great, like the choreography.
No.
But there's more to the scene than that.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. I don't think the choreography is the film's strong suit, but just like taking it all into account, it is a really fun scene. And you're right, it's like without any context because the movie doesn't give you any really. It's like, what the fuck is happening with these guys? Like, why are they randomly fighting in a parking lot with the swords, and what's with the electricity and stuff? Yeah.
I felt bad. All these people probably came out of this wrestling match and all their cars are all fucked up. Because they all like explode. I was a little confused why he hid the sword in the garage's ceiling.
Well, I think he knew he was going to get caught leaving the garage, so he hid the murder weapon.
I think he only got caught because he was driving like a madman.
Yeah, that's also a great shot. That like mounted camera over his shoulder as he's speeding through the parking structure. That looks very unsafe, but it looked great. Like, it looked very exciting.
There was a lot of good camera work in this, and I felt like, even though, like we're saying it's low budget, it felt higher budget because of like the cinematography.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of it that feels hokey or cheap, but the camera work is really solid, and I think it helps elevate the movie. Like, this isn't like, this is shot better than Resident Evil.
Oh yeah.
like and that probably, yeah, that had like a budget of like $33 million in today's never mind.
I was wishing that the Resident Evil one was shot more like this, because I think it would have at least had more interesting visuals.
See, and that's why I wanted you to watch Highlander before we watched Extinction. Because then you'd have something to compare it to with this guy. And like, I comment on it in our Extinction episode, which is going to come out after this. But I feel like a lot of Mulcahy's style is just not in that movie. Like, that movie is higher budget than this. Technology has advanced so much, but like, outside of the camera work where he's like moving the camera around and sweeping it across these desert environments, I don't get a sense of who he is at all the way that I do in this. Because in this, you can absolutely feel his music video career. You can feel like a sense of style. Like, he really is an auteur in this, for sure. But in Resident Evil Extinction, it feels like it was just made on a factory line.
So Connor's history is revealed through a series of flashbacks. In the Scottish Highlands in 1536, Connor fights against the rival Fraser clan as the warrior of the MacLeod. As a warrior of the MacLeod clan. The Frasers are aided by an outlander knight in exchange for his right to slay Connor. In battle, the knight fatally stabs Connor, but is driven off by his clansmen. After Connor makes a complete recovery, his lover Kate and his cousin Dougal accuse him of witchcraft. The clan wishes to kill him, but his other cousin, Chieftain Angus, mercifully exiles him. Connor quietly settles into a new life as a blacksmith and marries a woman named Heather MacDonald.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That was really funny how he dies in battle and then magically comes back to life, and instead of being like, holy shit, it's a miracle, they're like, you're the fucking devil, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know if I love it or hate it, but it did evoke strong emotions in me when he comes back and his girlfriend is like, he made a deal with the devil. He's a fucking demon. Kill him. And then his own family were like, yeah, well, let's fucking kill him. Everyone is so eager to kill everybody all the time in those days. And like, they're always throwing the witchcraft accusations around.
Oh, I forgot to mention something in the last paragraph.
Well, that's fine.
When when they like detain him and they find the sword at the scene of the crime, and she goes, "It's a broadsword." I'm pretty sure it was a rapier.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't really know her stuff, I guess. Even though she
literally wrote a book on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But going back.
Yeah, for as cheap as the movie was to make, all the stuff in Scotland was pretty convincing to me.
Mhm.
Like, the scenes where they're leaving the castle look really impressive. And I mean, it helps that it's a real castle. But also, like,
Yeah.
the amount of extras and the costuming and the production design, like, I don't know if it's historically accurate. I'm sure it's not. As we just discussed, they don't even get the names of the swords right half the time. But, like, it's convincing enough and, like, you know, looks expensive. You know, if you've got a real castle in the scene, I'm gonna think, oh, this must be an expensive movie. And I also really love that nobody fights him in the battlefield scene. I thought that was a really fun subversion.
He's like, "Why is no one fighting me?"
Yeah, he's like really, his feelings are hurt. It's like he's
it's
got
like
the
his first
cheese.
battle.
Yeah, and he's got like the cheese touch or something. Like nobody wants to
Cheese
touch him.
What's his name? Christopher
Lambert.
looks like Harrison Ford mixed with Aaron Eckhart, and maybe a little bit of Andy Samberg mixed in.
Okay, you lost me with Sandberg, but I do kind of see what you're saying. He's got a very distinct like brow. I don't know. He's got a very good face. Like he's a weird looking guy, but like in a handsome way.
I kept thinking that. Okay, maybe not the Andy Samberg part, but I kept feeling like I've seen him or someone that looked just like him. But then, like looking through his filmography, I don't think I've ever seen a movie he's ever been in before. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I did take note. Like first of all, they acknowledge how weird his fucking accent is, which is beautiful. In the interrogation scene, they're like, "Where are you from? Because you sound weird. You got a fucked up voice."
It kind of works though, because you assume he's been around for a while, so it's kind of like a bunch of accents mixing together.
A bunch of accents?
A bunch.
It also, like, near the end of the film, he kind of, and it might just be the scenes that they shot later, where his English is better, he kind of sounds like Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Bastards. To me. The way that he delivers some of his line readings. But again, not all of them. Some of them are all over the place.
Yeah, maybe he did just get better throughout.
Yeah.
Because I felt like at some point it did kind of fall off more.
Yeah, so it just depends on what order they shot things in. And all the stuff in Scotland, they definitely had to shoot first because Sean Connery was only available for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, great. I love the interrogation scene too. I love the part that didn't age well, where the cop calls him a slur that I'm not going to say.
Well, he's like, "What are you, a bleep?" And he's like, "Why, you cruising for a piece of ass?"
Yeah. That made me laugh. That was good.
Yeah, they kick him out. And then he's like sad. He's walking around with that thing around his neck still. He's walking through the Highlands with like that, his arms trapped behind his
Yeah,
head.
it's like a portable, what do you call them? Stockade? The stocks?
Something like that.
You know,
yeah.
where like people throw tomatoes at you?
Mhm.
Or like a portable crucifix from like the shoulders up.
Crucifix.
Well, you know, like it's not a full crucifix. He's not like nailed to a cross, but his arms are in like a T-pose.
Yeah. Is this the part where it's weird because it's going out of order a little bit, I think?
Yeah, which is kind of what happened to us during Man of Steel, which also brings me to a note that I made the connection near the end of this movie. There is a lot of cutting back and forth between these flashbacks of his origin and his history and the present, which is exactly what Goyer and Snyder try to do with Man of Steel, with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I think Highlander does it better, but it was interesting because of the parallel there. And also because, I don't want to spoil it, but Henry Cavill is currently the Highlander in a remake.
Do you think he'll do the accent too?
Oh god, I hope so.
That
would be
funny.
amazing. I don't know if any other human being can do the accent that Lambert did in this. Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, a wandering swordsman, seeks out Connor. He explains that they and others like them are immortals. They possess a sixth sense known as the Quickening, and can only be killed by beheading. Ramirez trains Connor in sword fighting to prepare him for battles, except on holy ground. The two become friends as a result. He informs Connor that as the number of immortals dwindles, they will eventually gather in a distant land for a final confrontation until only one remains, with the combined quickening of all. Immortals cannot conceive children, and Ramirez urges Connor to leave Heather so that he will be unburdened in the fight ahead. The knight that he encountered, the Kurgan, is a powerful and vicious immortal who would subject humanity to an eternity of darkness. Okay, a lot to say about this. My first note here, the 1-2 punch of Sean Connery, a Scotsman, playing a Spaniard who is actually Egyptian was so fucking funny. And I completely forgot about the Egyptian part while rewatching this too, so it was still funny.
Yeah, and like finally Sean Connery's here and he's supposed to be Spanish, and then like 2 notes later I'm like, oh sorry, he's Egyptian, not Spanish.
It's ridiculous. He's the only, like, he's talking to this Frenchman who's barely getting English out of his mouth, and he's speaking in a perfect Scottish accent as a Spaniard.
He also just doesn't look Spanish or Egyptian.
Not at all.
I thought he was joking at first.
No, it's so funny. And like, you think about the other people they wanted for this role too, like Peter O'Toole and Michael Caine, and it's like they wouldn't have been just like any more convincing than Sean Connery. And it's like so silly. I love his outfit, by the way. It's like the greatest costume anyone's ever had.
It's also funny because he says he's like Spanish or Egyptian, never like does anything that even resembles being Spanish or Egyptian until one part later when he calls him pendejo.
yeah. In Sean Connery's Scottish
He's like,
voice.
Get over here, pendejo.
Yeah. And apparently at some point he was married to a Japanese princess who gave him a katana, which is awesome. Very funny. Very funny. And that's the kind of thing where I'm like, I don't know how, if you played this 100% straight and took it seriously, none of this would land. You have to like embrace from the start of the movie that this is gonna be silly. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a little hokey. It's very like comic booky. It's very pulpy. And you just got to roll with that. That's the wavelength the movie's on. And if you're not meeting it there, and the movie is trying to be something different, it would not work at all. I love the training montage.
Oh, it's funny. There's some great parts in there, like the part where they're running on the beach,
which is just stolen from Rocky 3.
And then he's like, do you feel that? And he's like, yay. And they're like skipping on the beach.
They're just like laughing and giggling and galloping on the beach together. And it's just shamelessly stolen from Rocky 3, but I don't care. I love all the shots of them like doing their choreography or their like sword forms or whatever on the cliffside. Mm-hmm. Which again also look very dangerous because there's no harnesses or anything, and they're like on a 45-degree downward slope on the side of a Scottish mountain.
There was that other one too where they're literally like on a rock, and you can tell that they're like being very careful so that they don't take too far steps because they'll die. You know,
I just had the realization yesterday when we did our Aquaman episode. I said it was like very like Shakespearean, and I was totally wrong about that. It's Arthurian. Yeah, no, this is all great. But the question I have, and, you know, not to nitpick the movie too much, and you could assume, okay, Ramirez has been alive for centuries. Who told him all this? Where is all this information coming from?
Yeah.
How does he know about the quickening, and why is it called the quickening? How does he know about the gathering and the prize? Which, maybe they get into it more later. But I kept thinking the whole movie because I totally forgot. What is the prize?
I want to know if he knows the prize.
I don't think anybody could know what the prize is because the prize only happens when there's only one left. There can only be one. And how would you know that when there's still other immortals running around? Who explains this? Who explains the rules of the game? Who told Ramirez this? Did they make it up? I mean, there is a prize at the end. So, no, they didn't make it up. The quickening's real. I don't know. It's very strange. And I think a lot of it could be written off as, well, he's an ancient being who's been around for a long time. But it's like somebody would have had to... Do they, like, gather in committees? Did they agree that the quickening is the unified, like, term for this across the globe? amongst the immortals? I don't know.
We find out later that he's been around for like so much longer than McLeod, like before he was even born, because he's been around for like 2,000 years or something, which makes it kind of weird because then they can be born at different times. So then what's stopping more immortals from being born later?
That's also true. I didn't even think about that angle. Yeah, I don't know. They can't have kids, so it's got to be like an X-Men style, like just mutation at birth. But like, that would just imply that, yeah, new immortals could be born all the time, which, if that happens, not to spoil the end of the movie, what happens to the prize?
Oh man, my prize. I'm just gonna kill this
It's
kid.
all very flimsy, but like, I do like it. I do like the lore. I like the idea that these people are being drawn together by like a sixth sense that they don't really know how to articulate. I like the goofy, cheap-looking lightning shit. But it's like, all of it is so, I don't know.
It's like not fleshed out enough, kind of.
Well, it's not even that it's not fleshed out. I think it's fleshed out too much. It's like all these things have terms. Who came up with the prize, the quickening, the gathering? Who established all this? It's like a fucking Pokemon tournament. Like, what is going on? Like, who organized this? Who decided that this was happening, and how long has it been going on?
Yeah, there's like some parts where I'm like, okay, I don't know enough about like their powers or whatever to like understand this. But then, yeah, like this, it's like, okay, if they would have just been like, yeah, we're drawn together and we want to kill each other, we don't know why. Also, why is he training him?
So he can defend himself.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be easier for him to win if he just didn't train him?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
he's like, yeah, you could kill me one day. I'm gonna train you though.
Maybe he doesn't want to win. I don't know. I like to think that a lot of these immortals just get depressed after a while. I mean, Ramirez has been alive for thousands of years. He was an ancient Egyptian. I don't know. It also could just be like he's bored and he wants more of a challenge, because he's been a sword fighter for millennia. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you make a good point. If he's metagaming, he wouldn't want to train his competition. but, you know, we also see later, which I was going to bring it up later, when we meet that character. But we meet a character later on named Castigear, who is a fellow immortal that McLeod is friends with, and they haven't seen each other in a century. So they don't have to kill each other, because you're right. Him and Ramirez are friends, and later on we see that Castigear and Connor are friends. They're buddies hanging out and drinking in Central Park in the middle of the day. So it's like, they don't have to kill each other. Nobody has to get the prize. They're not physically compelled.
It actually kind of feels like Kurgan's the only one who's actively like trying to win it.
Yeah.
They could have just teamed up and killed him, and then they could have been like, eh.
Well, I don't know. There's also Facile. I guess Facile was trying to kill Connor at the beginning, and they seem to have some sort of history.
One night while Connor is away, the Kurgan finds his home and duels Ramirez before decapitating him. Connor ignores his advice and chooses to stay with Heather, only to watch helplessly as she grows old and dies. Heartbroken and embittered, Connor spends the next few centuries wandering the earth and adopts Ramirez's katana as his own. Yeah. Which makes sense why he has the katana now, because when the movie first started and he pulls out his sword, I'm like, why does this Scottish guy have a fucking katana?
Yeah.
I thought he was just a weeb or something.
Yeah. The stuff with Heather is pretty well done. I like the transition over the hill where she suddenly has the old age makeup and the grayed hair.
Yeah, I like that, but then at the same time when they do like close-ups, I'm like, okay, this is just clear. Like they didn't do enough on her face to make her look older. But I guess back then they died younger anyways. So
that's also true. Yeah, she died at the ripe old age of 37.
She was 37 there. She had white hair. I liked the fight in the tower. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very heavy metal.
And as we talked about before, they have like they're fighting, and when they slide the walls, they like fall down. And I thought that was an interesting way to show that these immortals have more power than like the average man, because I think sometimes it's a little harder to see that they're a bit stronger. I mean, earlier he did cut into like concrete with his sword. Yeah. But here, like, they're taking down this whole tower with their swings, which is pretty cool to see. And I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, I agree. It was very entertaining.
Heather did piss me off though. He just goes, Heather, run. She just stands there and goes, ah! I kind of
don't know.
thought she'd get killed by one of those rocks falling down. I guess this is like kind of the last part where we talk about Scotland,
Yeah.
right? I really liked in some parts they had some really great music behind like the panning shots of the countryside.
Yeah, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but a lot of those are like instrumental versions, like of the theme, not Princess of the Universe, but Who Wants to Live Forever, the Brian May song.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
A lot of it, there's like a piano version, there's like a strings version, I think, too. The piano version is on the album as well as its own track, which is nice.
So like when they kill each other, do they absorb their power or something?
I was also wondering that. It's very unclear. I don't think so. I don't think we ever see
like,
the.
Ah!
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Kind of looks like they're nutting or something.
Yeah. Clancy Brown's eyes roll into the back of his head, and he's going. Ah! Yeah, maybe he absorbs Ramirez's energy. I don't know if it's like stacking and it makes Kurgan more powerful when that happens. I'm not sure.
If it does, that wasn't conveyed very well.
I mean, I think you're right. I think they might have tried to show that with like them, I don't know, orgasming when the decapitation happens, because that happens to McCloud in the parking garage too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it happens like every time they kill one of the other ones.
So then I guess that is their way of saying that. They don't explicitly explain it, but like, why would they have that kind of reaction if they're not interacting with the energy from the body or whatever? I don't know.
I wonder if because they say that they're immortal when they're introduced, and then they're like, oh yeah, actually, unless your head gets cut off, you're immortal. But is it unless your head gets cut off by another immortal? Like if some normal person cuts your head off, like, are you fine?
I didn't think about that. It's a good question. I think it might just be anybody.
Because it wouldn't make sense that they would like somehow know that you're getting killed by an immortal.
Well,
right?
I mean, it's all mystical shit
That's
anyway,
true.
so it could know. But yeah, like it could just be anybody. We don't ever see an example of that in the film, or we don't ever hear about any incident like that. Like we don't hear about some immortal getting beheaded in France during the Revolution with a guillotine.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That would be cool, actually. If we saw some kind of example of that in a flashback, like maybe Connor's in the audience or something. I don't know, but
He's pointing and laughing.
yeah, that's him. All right. Just he's an asshole the whole movie.
Loser.
That would be kind of cool. I thought about like the first time I watched this movie, which was only like 6 months ago. Is Kurgan like the equivalent of a vampire hunter? Like, is he a normal guy hunting down the immortals? Because that
No.
would have been cool, but he's not. He is
Yeah.
just another immortal who's doing his own thing. I would have
That
liked
could be
the idea if like he was a normal guy, or like what if a normal person killed an immortal and that gave them the immortality? You know, and that's Kurgan's motivation, or like maybe not even more immortality, but like extending his life, so he has to keep killing immortals to get more life. I don't know, that could have been cool, but it's a good question that you're posing there.
I think that there's actually a lot in these, well, not these, I guess I haven't seen the other ones, but there's a lot in this movie that lends itself to like, not that everything needs more, but like if they wanted to, they could make like a bunch of different movies about this and like expand on stuff if they really want. Like your idea of them like normal people hunting the immortals is kind of cool. That could be like its own thing if they wanted to, or they could have like hunt, like, because there's so many of these immortals. It'd be kind of interesting to see like what kind of other ones there were, because we only see a handful in this movie.
In 1985, the gathering approaches, and the Kurgan comes to New York, where Connor deals antiques under the alias Russell Nash, assisted by his confidant and adopted daughter, Rachel Ellenstein. Brenda Wyatt, a metallurgy expert working for the police as a forensic scientist, finds shards of Connor's sword at Facil's death scene and is puzzled that the swordsmithing techniques do not match the age of the blade. She follows Connor for clues and witnesses the Kurgan attacking him. The police arrive, forcing them to flee. She meets with Connor twice afterward, hoping to learn about the paradoxical sword. Connor likes her, but tells her to leave him alone. Okay, yeah, so this is when we get that fight between Kurgan and Connor in like that area with all the steam pipes. I really like that.
Yeah.
I love the use of like silhouettes and shadows. Again, the steam like the sprinklers in the parking garage, they add a lot of atmosphere and like, I don't know, they really elevate it. And the camera is, again, just so kinetic. That handheld camera is so fun.
There was some parts here that were kind of weird because first he goes to get his sword back and he's like, oh, someone's coming, and then it's this lady, and then he runs away, and then she goes to the bar, and then he's like, oh, do you go to the garden often, Brenda? I don't know how he knew her name, but so then he's like,
well, he has her book. He has her book.
Did he know it at that point though?
I think the implication later is that he already owned the book and recognized her, maybe from the book.
Okay, maybe
because he's been alive for almost 500 years, and he's probably read every book in his library, maybe every book ever.
But so then they leave the bar, and then she's following him. She's following him, and then he grabs her and he's like, wait, stop. And then Kurgan just pops out of literally nowhere.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
It was a jump scare. It was crazy.
Oh, it made me laugh.
Yeah. No, it's really fun.
He's like, "Rawr."
But you're right, the sequence of events there are a little weird because it's like he's trying to run away from her, and then immediately after he's trying to get her attention, and then he's running away from her again, and then he grabs her. So it's like, which is it, buddy? What do you want? Like, do you want to lose this lady, or do you want her to interact with you? Because you can't really have it both ways. And then you get that fight, which I thought was pretty fun. It is funny, too, because, like, we see Kurgan practicing his sword fighting in the shitty hotel. And then when we see him actually fight, he's just wildly swinging that thing with one hand. Like, not at all doing the measured swings and stuff that we see him practicing.
What's funny is that they show... Well, there's two scenes, because he goes to a hotel earlier. They don't mention it, because it's not that big of a scene. But so he goes in this hotel, and then he, like, pulls a briefcase out, and he's assembling his sword like it's a sniper rifle in, like, a spy movie.
Yes, yes.
Which doesn't seem like it would work, but, whatever. And then, some, like, prostitute walks in, and she's like, I'm Candy, and he goes, of course you are.
Yeah.
I took
note of that, too. I'm like, what does that mean? Does that imply, like, is the implication that, like, she's just a snack for him? Or, like, is it, like, that Kurgan has slept with so many prostitutes and that so many of them have been named Candy over the centuries? I don't know.
I feel like he just said that and they're like, okay, we'll leave it in. Sure.
It was funny. It was very funny. And, like, you know, anything coming out of Clancy Brown's voice in that tone is very, like, cool. So even though that line doesn't make any sense, it was still, like, kind of intimidating. It's like, oh, he's gonna murder her. He's gonna murder the hooker. Okay.
But he didn't. He's got a heart of gold.
He didn't? I thought he did.
Because later when he's leaving, the guy's like, I heard from Candy you guys had a good time. And he's like, never talk to me again.
I missed that. That's great. What a nice guy.
He's like, he says, don't talk to me. He goes, what? And he like grabs him by the throat and slams against the wall. He's like, never talk to me again.
Yes, I remember that part. I forgot that he was like, hey, you know, Candy said you were actually a very upstanding gentleman.
She said you were freaky.
This Russian mountain steep barbarian.
It's the Undertaker.
Oh, and a rapist too. He's also a rapist. Which I know we're not there yet, but it's just very funny that he's very respectful towards sex workers.
He's a pretty cool guy besides being a rapist.
And a mass murderer and, you know, all that. Yeah. Connor rescuing Rachel from the Nazis I thought was really fun. They totally didn't have to do any of that, but I think it really adds to the movie's, like, history and its world building.
I thought for sure that when he got shot, that she got shot too, but I guess the bullet just didn't go through him, because it looked like blood exploded from her too.
I think it was blood from him splattering onto her. And
I was like, damn, that's pretty dark.
Yeah. I like that. I like the idea that, like, his secretary is actually, like, younger than him, and, like, that she knows his secret. She's his Alfred, basically. Which is pretty cool.
I did like the part where he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jack, and he just shoots the Nazi.
Well, yeah, the specific line is, whatever you say, Jack, you're the master race. And then he guns him down. Yeah, that was great. It was good stuff.
It's kind of funny. He was just kind of walking through like a World War II battlefield.
Yeah, well, why not? He can't die. Fuck
I
it.
don't know where he was going. He's like, oh, this vacation turned out really bad.
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to save people, or maybe he's just trying to make his way to New York. I don't know. I mean, not that France or Germany or wherever he rescued her is in the direction of America. It's probably the opposite direction, but yeah, no, good scene. I wish there were more little cutaways like that.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. There was the other one later with his friend, where they have like the duel.
Oh, yes. I forgot to take any notes on that, but that was pretty funny, yeah.
Though I think there was another note I have. I don't remember what scene it was, but the police officers are in the office, and one of them has his shoes off and up on the desk, and he's eating Doritos. I said, what a life. I guess does this also cover when they have dinner?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought that was really funny because he immediately goes in her apartment. She's like, yeah, just get yourself a drink. He goes over and starts looking through her things and immediately finds her gun and the tape recorder.
Well, in all fairness, he at this point knows that she's not who she says she is because he has the book. So he knows something's up, and he knows he's being tailed too.
Yeah,
but you're right. It is funny that he immediately finds the gun and the tape recorder. You get this feeling that maybe he's done this a lot over the past 500 years. He's like, all right, I know where women hide the gun and the tape recorder when we have dinner. So
maybe he isn't a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know. We only know him for a little while. He could totally just have phases of his life where he's like, yeah, this century I'm just going to be a real piece of shit.
I don't feel like being nice this 100 years.
And it's like nobody will remember him being a piece of shit except for like 5 other people who also live forever. So he could just, yeah.
I also kind of liked that her motivation, because I'm assuming throughout that like her motivation is like, oh, I gotta catch the killer, and she's like, dude, there's this fucking sword, I gotta see this sword. Like this sword's like 600 years before its time, like I gotta see this sword. And she doesn't care about like the guy that got died. The guy that got died.
The guy that got died. I don't think they ever follow through on the thing with the sword. Like she takes the shards from the parking garage and she's like, this sword doesn't line up with the technique that made it because the sword is a different age. That's never resolved. Also, it doesn't make any sense because it's a Japanese, like it was a sword made in its time. Like, Ramirez got the sword already made. It's not as if the sword... Because you can't, like, repair... I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, is it supposed to be, like, Connor has repaired the sword 400 years ago, even though it's 600 years old or something? I'm trying to think of, like, what exactly it means by that. And it's I don't think it's ever resolved, because I think by the end, it's like, she finds out his identity because of the signatures. I don't know if she ever like examines the sword and figures out what the deal is with that, because I don't think it makes sense.
I think the only time she even I was kind of thinking that he'd show it to her later when she like he brings her to his house.
Yeah,
but she does see it, I guess, at the end in the fight scene, but she doesn't like look at it. I guess to me, it doesn't really make sense that she's like, yeah, it's like 600 years against its time. The only thing I could think of while watching it was like, oh, the guy loved his daughter so much that he put extra care into making it or something.
Or maybe like the sword is supposed to be from an older time, but it's got like newer DNA on it or something. Like maybe there's like dirt samples or something from a different time period. I don't know. The science doesn't really make sense. Which, you know, we're talking about Highlander, so I guess we shouldn't scrutinize it that much, but they could have just simply said that like, hey, this guy was killed with an 800-year-old sword. That's very unusual. And that's why I'm interested in this guy and the sword. They didn't need to make up this weird reason about like the sword's age not lining up with its time period, because that just sounds like time travel. That doesn't really congrue with what the movie is establishing with like the immortals and stuff.
I don't know, maybe a lot of people get killed with ancient swords in New York.
Yeah.
You bring up a really good point with that, though. Like, yeah, just simply the fact that it's like a at least 500, 600, 700, 800-year-old sword is enough to where, you know, she knows swords. Like, oh yeah, I want to see this ancient sword. And I like that she's basically, I took a note, she's basically just Tashigi from One Piece. Because she likes swords.
Right.
I have a note, I don't know where it's from, but it says, this movie's goofy.
Yeah, it is. It is goofy. By this point, I think we see Connor's collection. Maybe that's a little later, but I don't care. Connor's collection is cool as hell. I really love his place. Like, I'd love to hang out there for a while, you know?
I
that,
loved
like,
his
that lowered
sunken couch.
Yes, I was about to say
Yeah.
the couch on like the lowered level. Oh, I love that stuff.
It
I
needs a
wish-
table there, but like otherwise that'd be a peak hangout spot.
Oh, totally. I feel like it'd be like a cool like VR home spot. You're in Connor's bat cave basically, looking at all the cool shit he's got.
He kind
Yeah.
of did have a bat cave.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's got an Alfred, he's got a bat cave, he's got a secret identity. He, you know,
Kind of gives Batman vibes too.
A little
just as
bit.
character.
a little bit. It's pretty fun. Like, that's why I said at the top, this is very like comic booky or pulpy. It's like he's an immortal swordsman blending into New York City and like presumably stopping bad guys. Like, I mean, he saved Rachel from the Nazis, so he might be doing vigilante stuff that we just don't see outside of the context of Kurgan and the Gathering.
So the Kurgan duels and beheads Sunda Kastagir, another immortal. A witness to the fight gives the NYPD a description of him. Brenda investigates Connor and finds evidence that he has lived for centuries. On Heather's birthday, Connor lights a candle for her in a church, as he has done every year. The Kurgan arrives and confirms that he and Connor are now the last remaining immortals, and also reveals he raped Heather after killing Ramirez. Disgusted but prohibited from fighting on holy ground, Connor leaves. He's not a good guy. Kurgan's not a good guy.
It turns out Kurgan, you know, he might be a little problematic. Why does he care about not fighting on holy ground now? These are the only two guys left. Also, that's like another one of those rules where it's like, how did this get around between every immortal on the planet?
I'm thinking someone just made it up because they were like, oh, we're in a church, we can't fight right now, bro.
No, I mean, like, yeah, it's probably made up, like a school ground or like a playground thing. But
It is funny though, and then it was kind of funny that he was like, he's antagonizing Connor. And he's like, whoa, we can't fight in the church, dude.
yeah, I love his new getup after this point in the movie, where he's got like the gross, like mostly shaved head,
Oh yeah,
and like the back of his head has like these weird bulbous things on it. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's got
I
like
didn't.
it's like an alien head on the back. Like, he's got like two large, it almost looks like a butt on the back of his head sticking out from behind. I love it that he's got the like bobby pins in his neck and stuff, and like his whole like punk get up throughout the whole movie is great.
And that's after he says he changes it because they get his description from, according to the plot synopsis, a witness to the fight, which is being a little generous because the witness to the fight is a guy who is driving by, sees two men fighting in an alley with a sword, gets an Uzi out, runs towards them, and then after Kurgan beheads Kastagir, he empties a mag into Kurgan with his Uzi,
Yeah.
which I thought was really weird, but also really funny.
No, it was. I'm surprised that guy lived. Also,
Oh yeah,
why did he have to be the witness? They make a point of showing like 30 people watching the fight between Kastagir and Kurgan. There's like an old lady with a bonnet who's like watching from her car window. There's like kids on bikes or something, which is like, I don't know, it was a lot of people. It was like
was gonna
watching the
say-
background of a Street Fighter stage or something.
I was gonna say it's because he had the best look at them, but then I forgot that he like, after he stabbed that guy, he ran towards them, and like especially that older guy, he like looked him dead in the eyes under the light.
Yeah.
So like they should have asked him.
Yeah, but I just think it's funny that like they've got this one witness testimony, and it's like, what are the chances? And it's like, no, there were like 15 people there.
Thank God we had one person that saw him. When they were in the church, I was like, okay, Jill's gonna jump through any second on her motorcycle. Not Jill, Alice. Sorry.
Yeah. I like too. I read something on IMDb trivia or some shit, so it's probably fake. But I did read something that was like, after they were done filming that scene, Clancy Brown was like sincerely apologizing to the priests and nuns because of all horrible shit he says in the church scene, which I don't think that's true because I don't think they'd be using real nuns and priests as like actors. But I
Maybe
mean,
they might
it's
have just
also,
went in there and started filming.
no, genuinely, like it is, a cheap movie. It's 1986. Maybe it's a lot more of the Wild West when it comes to like getting release forms and shit. So
Yeah, he was being like kind of like a theater kid in church.
he's talking about rape.
Well, not like that.
Your woman, McCloud.
Classic
he's
theater
being a
kids.
theater kid.
Classic.
What? Okay, I'm not gonna keep that in. So Brenda confronts Connor, who explains his true identity. After spending the night together, they part ways, but the Kurgan finds out about their newfound intimacy and kidnaps Brenda to draw Connor out. Connor decides to leave behind the Russell Nash identity, says goodbye to Rachel, and confronts the Kurgan at Silvercup Studios in Queens, rescuing Brenda in the process. After a long duel, Connor outfights and decapitates the Kurgan, absorbing his power. Okay, so there we go. There's our confirmation. I mean, again, the movie's a little vague about it. They don't outright say it, but there it is in the plot synopsis. Connor returns to Scotland with Brenda and reveals that he is now a mortal man who can age and have children. He also is able to read the thoughts and feelings of people all around the world, and remembering Ramirez's lessons, he hopes to encourage cooperation, understanding, and peace among humanity. I like him saying goodbye to Rachel. I thought that was nice. Again, the scene where Kurgan breaks into Brenda's apartment was really cool. Love the way that was shot. Very scary. Like, actually scary to see this fucking guy who's 6'3" wearing platforms on top of that, like, storming into this woman's apartment with this wide-angle lens, just tracking him through it.
That and earlier when they were at the zoo, and then he's just standing behind them menacingly in the shadows, and then he steps back away, and then Connor's like, was someone back there?
Yeah.
I said she's gonna have some major PTSD from this. Like, when he's driving, he's like, you ever played chicken before?
Oh, yeah, that scene rules. The chicken scene rules. They crash so many cars.
He's running people over on the sidewalk.
And this is where we hear Queen's version of New York, and Kurgan's like driving down, I don't know, the Queensboro Bridge. I don't know the fucking New York bridges, but he's
Isn't
like
he on the sidewalk part?
He's on the sidewalk part of the bridge, and you can see the car scraping against the actual railing of the bridge. Like, they're actually damaging city property. It was crazy. It was so good. I love that scene. It's so fun.
He was just like me when he hit that motorcyclist. Because I love to do that in Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, you had me worried for a second. I like the soundstage, Silvercup. We talked about it already. I love the way that the like sign is collapsing and the water tower falls and shit. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like that they're fighting on the same roof from Madam Web, but it doesn't say Pepsi.
I also had that thought. I had to look it up. I'm like, did Madam Web also end at the Silvercup Studio sign? And no, of course it was a Pepsi sign.
But I wonder if it was supposed to be that building. But
It definitely feels like it. Yeah, the font seems similar. They're both glowing red neon rooftop signs. I could totally see it, and I could totally see Silvercup saying, "No, we don't want any part of this." Yeah, that was it was good.
It was
Not Madam
cool
Web,
when he...
but this movie was good.
Madam Web was great. I love that. I thought that the fight was pretty entertaining. There was a cool part where he's like cutting the sign down.
Yeah.
Again, showing him how strong they are because he's cutting through like steel beams. Yeah. He's just doing like, he's spinning around. He's going wee wee shuk, shuk, shuk. Yeah. And then they cut down like the water tower, and then it pushes them through. It's kind of like a stage transition.
Yeah,
like, fighting game. And they go down through the window.
Oh, dude, why isn't the Highlander a fucking DLC fighter in Mortal Kombat?
Probably because he just kind of looks like a normal guy.
Well, that doesn't stop them from putting in other normal guys.
He's not that ripped.
They put in Ghostface. I mean, we're getting off topic, but it totally does feel like a stage transition from a fighting game. Absolutely. I love the end when... I don't even remember. What is the quote? Does he just say, there can only be one? what is the quote? Before all the windows explode. That's what I want to talk about. I love the shot of all the windows inexplicably for no reason in the warehouse after he gives that final one-liner. They all fucking burst. Like
Well,
he
that
just
happens all the time, though,
like he
when
just
they
or
absorb other people.
Oh yeah. But isn't that after or before? It's not while the absorption is happening. It's while he's standing there looking cool, aura farming. All the windows just explode from how cool he is.
Actually, think about it. In that first fight, I don't know if he decapitated the guy before like all the cars exploded and shit.
No, he did. I think he did. They're like damaged, but I think after that they start like getting pulled towards him and like shaking.
Maybe it's because they're like the last two or something, and it knows that he's gonna win.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a fucking sick shot.
He did the Obi-Wan stance at one point.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I have that in all caps. That he's doing the Obi-Wan stance.
He is doing that. I don't even remember where that started. I think he does it when he fights Grievous.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That
sounds about right.
Yeah. So they took that from Highlander. Unless both of them are based on some real martial arts stance, which they probably are.
Yeah,
like this is probably taken from some samurai movie that Mulcahy and Bob Anderson saw. You know,
it was kind of cool how they did the hand animation.
The hand animation?
Yeah, they like hand animated.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Swirls.
Yes,
I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like that too. It was cool. There's like tigers and monsters and shit.
It was like cheesy, but then also kind of cool at the same time. I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
So what did you think of the prize?
I mean, I was trying to think of what it would be throughout the whole movie because I wasn't sure like what would actually be valuable to these people because they're immortal, but it's not like they have overwhelming power or anything.
Right.
So I was thinking that it would just. I was kind of thinking it'd go for the opposite and be like, oh, you won. Now you can just be mortal, which it kind of does.
Yeah,
but
that's
then it throws in like, yeah, I can read the thoughts of everyone on the earth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
That part was insane. I did not remember that at all from when I watched this last year for the first time. I didn't remember anything about the prize, actually. I think the mortality thing is really, really nice. I think it's very clever because it's like that is something that these people could never have. They're allowed to grow old. They're allowed to have kids so they can love somebody and die with somebody. I really like that. It's also funny because if Kurgan won the prize, I think he'd be very pissed off.
Well, it kind of goes a little bit. I mean, I guess it's because like he can read minds or whatever. But earlier in the movie, he's like Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez says like, "Oh yeah, if Kurgan gets this power, he's like humanity's done for."
Yeah,
I don't really know.
But nobody knows what it is. That's the thing.
So then how does he know that?
I guess he just assumes it's got to be more powerful than immortality, like you said. Like it's got to be some kind of overwhelming strength or ability. But yeah, it's just a normal guy. And then it's funny because they do drop the like I can read everyone's minds across the entire planet. They drop that before the mortality thing, which is so funny.
It's kind of like a footnote. He's like, "Oh yeah, and I'm mortal now."
Yeah, and it's like I think it should have just been the mortality. I think it might be retconned in the second movie because from what I read in the synopsis, the second movie is like him remembering a past life, like a reincarnation type thing, and the whole movie is some sort of flashback to a past life that the spirit of Connor McLeod lived before he was Connor McLeod. That's what I think I read in the synopsis, which that's cool if he can like remember past lives or something. This doesn't really make sense with the immortality thing at all.
No.
I mean, it's cool, and like he ends the movie with like a superhero speech where he's like, him and Ramirez's voiceover. It's like, I'm gonna go use my powers for good to save the world.
I don't know how, but
yeah. Also, you're a normal guy now too, so it's gonna be a lot harder. But I guess
I'll simply enter the White House.
Right. I mean, I guess he still has all his knowledge and his wealth and like his training.
Does he have his wealth though? He kind of gave it all up because he said Russell Nash is dead.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe he did that with the assumption that he wouldn't be coming back.
No, because she said either way, you're not coming back.
Okay, so we gave it all to Rachel. Okay, got it. Well, yeah, you're right. I guess he's just kind of
Maybe he's like,
wandering
can I get
sword-
$50?
He's like a wandering swordsman now. Yeah, he's begging Rachel for money.
Please, I need money.
Yeah, I forgot how much things cost because I didn't need to eat for 500 years. And also, I was thinking about this earlier and I didn't take a note, but it's like they even say in the plot synopsis, like Kurgan, if he's the last immortal, he's gonna like be an evil ruler. Yeah, let's see. Subject humanity to an eternity of darkness. He's just a guy. Like, yes, he has enhanced strength. Yes, he is unkillable. But, like, they could lock him in a box. It's not like Kurgan could single-handedly take on the combined military forces of the world or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's still... Like, he's unkillable. Maybe. We don't know if a normal person can lop his head off. But, like, even if that's the case, he's just, like, an inconvenience. You know, you lock him in a fucking box made of steel and sink him at the bottom of the ocean or something. Like, he can't actually take over the world just by being able to live forever.
Well, even then, if he kills everyone, then he can't because he became... Unless the prize is some sort of, like...
Well, no, I'm saying, like, this is what they believe... Like, before they know what the prize is, Kurgan's plan is to kill all the other immortals and then rule humanity, but it's like, ruling humanity's kind of hard. Like, even if you have hundreds of years to, like, build up resources and prepare for it, which, you know, judging from Kurgan's outfit and the fact that he's staying in a shitty motel, it doesn't seem like he's been doing a lot of investing over the past... fucking 500 years. He doesn't have a lot of money saved up, so it's like I don't really think he would have been able to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's the movie. That is the plot.
I have one note.
Yes.
I thought it was weird that they go back to Scotland, and then now his girlfriend looks like his dead wife.
I did not notice that at all.
She has blonde hair now.
Oh, that is weird. That is weird.
You look really good as a blonde. Have you ever thought about that?
He's like living out. He's living out the fantasy of the life with kids that he wanted with Heather, with Brenda. That is weird. I did not notice that her hair color changed.
I guess you're just not a true fan of the movie like I am.
I mean, yeah, I guess not. But yeah, that's Highlander. What did you think, all in all?
I mean, overall, it was pretty fun. It was very 80s, with some weird writing and like funny, crazy moments. I thought that the second half was certainly stronger than the first. Maybe not first half, but like the first bit. I think that once it kind of got in like his past couple hundred years, it was pretty interesting. But they don't really.
Sorry, it's just funny out of context. Like once you get past the first couple hundred years, it gets really good. There
was some like surprisingly like emotional parts, like when he has Heather. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm like alone because I'm immortal or whatever. And it was like actually kind of hit harder than I thought it would. But I thought it was overall a fun movie.
Yeah, I think it's a great movie.
Well, let's see what the reception and critical response for this movie was. Because what we think about the movie doesn't matter. Critical reception was quite poor on release, with People magazine describing the film as a moody combination of Blade Runner, The Terminator, and your last really good nightmare. What?
Yeah,
okay.
It's also funny too because Blade Runner was also very poorly received when it came out a few years before this film.
I feel like these aren't. Well, let's see what Siskel and Ebert have to say. Siskel and Ebert tearing it apart with a double thumbs down, with Ebert saying it was a very boring movie. I kept hoping for something interesting to come along and interrupt those endless sword fights. There wasn't endless sword fight. I was actually thinking there could have been maybe one or two more.
Yeah, they didn't like it. I think this is one of those times where they were just dead wrong, because this is very entertaining.
Metacritic's collection of the film's initial reviews give us a preview of an average score of 24 out of 100.
Yeah, so collecting all the reviews of its release.
Does it have a Rotten Tomatoes score?
I didn't check because it would probably just be whatever the score is today.
It has a 70%.
Yeah, like people really like this movie.
The film made roughly $5.9 million in North America, with a total of about $12.8 million against a budget of $19 million. So failing to meet its budget, it was a commercial failure.
Yeah, it did not make any money, basically. Which is weird because, again, looking at what else was playing in theaters, like, the biggest things at this time were Pretty in Pink and The Color Purple. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly as if there's a lot of competition here directly against the film. And, like, I don't know. I think it's a shame. Like, this really should have made more money than this.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not like an all-star cast or anything. In fact, I wouldn't say there's a single star in it. But, well, Sean Connery, I guess. But it's like, I don't know, man. I would have went to go see this movie if I was looking for something to do in March 1986. Like,
if only I could go back in time.
With such an abysmal response from critics and a devastating box office performance, could there only be one? No. In fact, the film would receive a critical reappraisal by the turn of the century, as we just said, becoming a cult classic film thriving in the home release space. So, VHSs, DVDs,
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc. I'm guessing also this is probably one of those movies that once it hit cable was pretty huge and probably played a lot. And since the film's original release, there have been 2 direct sequels. 1991's Highlander 2, The Quickening, and 1994's Highlander 3, The Sorcerer, which is also known as The Final Dimension. I don't know in what regions or whatever it's referred to as that. There was a live-action television series that premiered in 92 that ran for 6 seasons, and Christopher Lambert is in the pilot episode as like a framing device for the show.
That's probably like his past lives or something.
I think it's supposed to be like one of his family members who's also an immortal.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a retcon from the original film. It's like there's some guy named Duncan MacLeod, but he's in the pilot, and it was like a hit show. It ran for 6 fucking seasons. There was an animated series from 94 to 96.
What?
There were 2 more films that acted as follow-ups to the TV show, with 2000's Highlander Endgame and 2007's Highlander The Source, following up the 90s show, separate from the 2 sequels to the movie. And there was a feature-length anime film, also in 2007, titled Highlander The Search for Vengeance. So,
that's crazy.
Even though this movie made no money, no profit at the box office, it got 2 more sequels, a live-action TV show that ran for 6 seasons, an animated show, an anime movie, and even the TV show got some revival movies. Highlander's fucking huge. Like, it has its own cinematic universe.
The HCU.
It literally has its own cinematic universe. And it didn't make money in the first place, which is crazy to me. And in 2026, The Highlander is still alive. A new live-action film is currently shooting right now as we speak, directed by Chad Stahelski of John Wick fame, starring Russell Crowe as Ramirez, Dave Bautista as Kurgan, and Henry Cavill as Connor. And Stahelski has confirmed that yes, Queen is in the movie too.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this one-off and want to see more episodes like it, please let us know in the comments. We'll be checking in again with director Russell Mulcahy in our next limited series, which will be covering the history of Resident Evil in Hollywood, Raccoon Shitty. The first episode of that goes live on June 15th, with new episodes every Monday. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.